Hey, it's Tara. Today I'm talking about anxiety because it's the most common complaint that I see, the most prevalent symptom in my practice. It's something that's really important to have a good perspective on because when we experience it, it's really uncomfortable and it can tend to get blown into something much bigger. So what I want to share with you is that 100% of people have anxiety. I don't mean that 100% of people have an anxiety disorder. That's a completely different thing. But we are, as humans, supposed to experience anxiety. Anxiety is normal. And I think we've gotten into a place where we have a sense that it's not normal, or because it's uncomfortable, that it is something that we need to seek medical attention for immediately, or that needs to be medicated automatically. And there's a time and place for those things also, but not in the beginning, because what we really need to realize about the nervous system is that we do start at a baseline, and we talk about this a lot with SRT, self-regulation therapy, that I use in my practice. We start at a baseline, and as human beings that are healthy, we experience an event or an emotion or something happens and we're triggered into activation. So we rise up into what we would call anxiety. What I always call activation. It's just activation in the nervous system, filling of the cup. So we have a response. We're supposed to have a heightened awareness in proportion to the events that are occurring. Once that passes, then we're supposed to come back down to baseline. And the same goes with having a sense of feeling depressed sometimes. That's also normal. It's part of the range of experience, and a healthy nervous system can experience all emotions in the entire range of human emotions and always come back down to baseline. So it's not that we have an absence of symptoms or that we have an absence of depression or anxiety ever. We are supposed to. And in fact, anxiety can serve us. Athletes, presenters, speakers, people that are taking tests, there's a certain amount of pre-performance anxiety that is not just normal, but it's beneficial. It actually makes us perform at a higher level. And so it's not just normal, it's good for us. So it's really important when you're feeling symptoms of anxiety, the classic over-worrying, not being able to control your thoughts, feeling like, even somatic symptoms like you're short of breath, or you feel a tightness in your chest, or your muscles are tight. Some of those anxiety symptoms, once you reframe them and take a step back and realize it's just activation and it's temporary and it will pass, it does tend to pass faster. If you latch onto it as being anxiety that could turn into a disorder or that may need to be medicated, it becomes a bigger fire faster. And there are ways to treat it before you get to that place. And so one of the ways that needs to be looked at first is really checking in with some lifestyle things. Look at the sleep that you're getting, the nutrition that you're getting. You want to be on an anti-inflammation diet. Stay away from sugars, grains, things that trigger an inflammatory response in the body. You want to make sure that you are trying stress relieving techniques, because that is such a contributor to that sense of anxiety. You want to look at the balance in your life. You want to try things like meditation. The biggest thing that you could do would be to exercise. Sleep and exercise and nutrition are really going to be the top 3 approaches for any mental health condition. First things first, just to see. Check in with someone that can give you some advice about supplements that will reduce that sense of anxiety or your ability to feel calm or come back down to baseline. Adaptogens are really good for helping the body cope with stress. So you want to look at the causes of the stress first and start treating those. Therapy should always be recommended, and any doctor that doesn't recommend that you try therapy and some lifestyle changes, including exercise, is really important. First, I would get a second opinion, because those things often will help you build your resiliency and manage those moments of anxiety and help you cope with them in a really healthy way. And in turn, those build new neural pathways in your brain that will help you cope in the future. So this has got to be the first step, but it's 100% normal, and 100% of us experience anxiety. When I experience it, depending on what the situation is, I remind myself constantly, it's just activation. I didn't get enough sleep. I haven't eaten. It was a really stressful week. I need to do some self-care. I need to go for a long walk. There's things that I can do. I have tools that I can do to help make this not be abnormal. And so those are things that are always really important to look at. The other thing is research just came out this September 2016 that showed that SSRIs and serotonin can actually trigger anxiety in the brain. And it shows why some people that are treated for anxiety with antidepressants actually end up having more anxiety. If you're on an antidepressant or anti-anxiety and you're still experiencing symptoms, medication isn't working unless you're at about 70% of being symptom-free. So keep that in mind if you're already on medications, but using those lifestyle approaches and the right kind of therapy, and I choose SRT, self-regulation therapy, because it works with the activation in the nervous system and the root cause of why you're feeling anxious in the first place. If you do those things, you can potentially wean off or reduce your dosage for medications that you might be on. But in my experience, in my practice, when it's not an actual mood disorder that's on board, that needs to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist only, these things mean that people don't have to go on the medications, and therefore they don't ever have to worry about going through the distress of coming off of them, because that's really difficult. So 100% of people have anxiety, and there's lots of things that you can do to help yourself cope with it, so that you realize it's just a normal part of life. It's just activation. It's temporary. It's going to go away. You do things that are healthy for your mind and your body, and you will always be able to keep this in check. So take good care of yourself. Be aware of when this happens. Really depersonalize it. It's just activation, and this is why. It's temporary. And it's amazing what having that approach can do to really take the fear out of that part that comes with anxiety. It's not always something to be worried about. It's something that you can manage. It's something that you can harness for its benefits also. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about anxiety or any concerns about your own experience with it, get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, I hope you're well.